Namaste, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryashu Sarvada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Greetings to all. On behalf of Param Vedanta, a warm welcome to all our listeners. We continue with Atma Bodha, a Prakarana Grantha by Bhagavad Pada Adi Shankaracharya. Our old habits stay alive even when we step into the spiritual path. We continue to hold on to the sense of limitation and body identification. These sessions will help us to remove these habits drop by drop. Now is the time. Dr. Hegde will be moderating this session. Our speakers are Srimati Mamta Shankar, Srimati Apeksha, Dr. Sheila, Dr. Asha Nayak, and Sri Ullas. Mamta will give us a short recap of last week's session first. Over to you, Mamta. Thank you.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Recap of the verses 40 to 43 encompasses Vedantic meditation and benefits of the same. In the next slide, in verse 40, Shankaracharya discusses the characteristics of a gnani, or the one who has realized the self, the ultimate reality, which is Paramarthaha in the verse. Gnani during meditation negates all the individualities superimposed upon themselves out of ignorance. This includes physical attributes like I am a male, female, young, old, so on, and emotional attributes like happy or sad, angry, so on, intellectual attributes like contemplating, reasoning, also, and also the varnas like the complexion and jati varnas as mentioned in the Varna Ashrama of the Vedas. After negation, Gnani asserts that I am Chidananda Rupa, that is consciousness or Atma, I am Paripurna or complete, and abides in meditation or dhyana. In the next slide, in the verse 41, Shankaracharya talks about how Vedantic meditation, also known as Nididhyasanam, is different from all other types of meditation or upasanas. Upasanam involves three factors: meditator, also known as dhyatam, object of meditation, that is dhyayam, and meditation itself, that is dhyanam, which requires the mind, which is the instrument with which I visualize the deity, that is the thought about Ishvara or God arise in the mind. Dhyata, dhyanam, dhyayam is also known as Triputi of Upasana. In the next slide, however, Vedantic meditation is meditation on our essential nature, higher I, or the self. There is no triputi, that is dhyata, dhyanam, dhyayam here. In the next slide, that is the division in the form of gnata, jnana, gneya, that is dhyata, dhyanam, dhyayam, which we just discussed, is not there in a gnani. That is, at Paramarthika level, when one realizes and abides by one's true nature, the self or Paramatma. In the next slide, so all the three, that is Gnata, Gnana, Gneyam, are in the form of consciousness or Chidanandaika Rupa or the Atma. That is, they all appear in me, the consciousness. That means this Atma or consciousness is self-evident without requiring any thought to illumine or objectify it, which means Vedantic meditation would mean a thoughtless meditation or in thoughtless state. However, in the next slide, we have to understand that in Vedantic meditation, we entertain thoughts not to objectify Atma, but to negate Anatma in the form of I am not the body, mind, senses, so on. And we claim Aham Brahmasmi, which is also a thought in the mind. This is again not to objectify Atma, but to negate the idea of limitation or misconception, that is, to negate attributes like physical, emotional, intellectual ones associated with us. For example, we describe or identify ourselves using physical characteristics like being young or old, tall or short, or having a certain complexion, and so on. Similarly, we associate ourselves with emotional states such as happiness or sadness, and intellectual qualities like reasoning ability or discriminatory, to name a few. When we say Aham Brahma Asmi in Nididhyasanam or Vedantic meditation, this thought asserts that I am not limited body, mind, senses. That is, while the body may be young or aging and the mind may experience emotions such as sadness or anger, these are merely object of experience. I am neither the body nor the mind. I am the all pervading, eternal, untouched Atma or Brahman. Regular practice of the Vedantic meditation enables to assimilate the Vedantic teaching Jivatma is Paramatma or Brahman, that is, individual being, I myself am Paramatma or Brahman, self evident and self illuminating. In the next slide, in verse 42, Shankaracharya talks about benefits of practicing Gnana Yoga consisting of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Benefit is internal transformation, that is, total transformation in personality. The subconscious mind is saturated with the thought that I am all pervading eternal Brahman, ever free, and I am Purna, complete as I am. This transformation, however, does not happen overnight. One has to give quality time for meditation, Vedantic meditation in this context. So, Gnana Yoga or Vedantic meditation has to be practiced until the transformation happens. And Shankaracharya compares Gnana Yoga to a particular process that is done in the Vedic rituals called Arani Mathanam in this verse 42. In the next slide, Arani Mathanam is a process where a wooden rod is placed in the hole of a fixed wooden rod, also known as Aranis, and is churned until fire is ignited due to friction, which is used for the Vedic ritual consisting of fire for the Homa. Analogy of the Arani Matana to the process of Vedantic meditation can be applied as Bhutagni is generated due to Arani Matana. Similarly, due to Vedanta sadhana, Gnana Agni is generated. In Vedanta sadhana, fixed block is compared to the student with prepared and stable mind, which is achieved by sadhana chatushchaya sampatti. Churning with the wooden rod is compared to practice of Shravana Manana Nididhyasana with the help of a competent guru, and practice this as long as it takes to get the inner transformation or assimilation of Aham Brahma Asmi occurs. In the next slide, just like the flame in the ritual burns down whatever oblations are offered, in Vedanta sadhana, the flame of knowledge burns down the self ignorance of the seeker, that is, kartatva, bhoktatva, ego, me and mine thing. In other words, entire samsara involving raga, dvesha, so on, is offered into the flame of knowledge. In the next slide, first, there is an first benefit of self-knowledge, that is destruction of ignorance, has been dealt in previous verse 42, which we just talked about. Second benefit of gnanam discussed in verse 43 is, that is the present verse, is emergence of Atma, self-discovery, and Shankaracharya uses analogy of Surya Udaya, first rays of sunlight, to discuss the emergence of Atma. The darkness of the night is destroyed by Arunodaya, that is early morning sunrise. The self-effulgent sun comes to light by itself. We don't require a torch to illumine the sun. Similarly, self-knowledge or self-discovery requires only removal of ignorance. When ignorance is removed by the self-knowledge, Atma becomes self-evident, or the seeker realizes or discovers the self. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. Om. We are studying the fundamentals of Vedanta based on Tattva Bodha. Tattva Bodha is an introductory text by Adi Shankara, which gives the essence of Vedanta and its terminology in a simple question-answer format. Tattva Bodha begins with this prayer: Vasudevendra Yogendram Natva Jnanam Pradam Gurum Mumukshu Nam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Vidhiyate. Vasudevendra Yogendram. I offer my prostrations to my Guru Vasudevendra, who is the one who gives self-knowledge, particularly to those who are yearning for Paramapurushartha or Moksha. So this teaching of Tattva Bodha begins. We have come to the important part of Tattva Bodha, where we begin to inquire about my true nature. Who am I? Normally, whenever we say, who am I, we identify with this body. But in Vedanta, there is one important and fundamental principle. That is, I am someone other than the body. This is the first step in Vedanta and a very difficult step. So how does the inquiry go? This is from the quotations from Tattva Bodha itself. Tattva Vivekaha Ka. What is Tattva Viveka? The answer is Atma Satyam. There is only one reality, that is called Atma. Tad Anyat Sarvam Mityeti. Other than Atma, everything else is unreal. Therefore, the whole of Vedanta is an inquiry into Asatoma Sadgamaya. From what is Asat to Sat. Asat is my identification with my body-mind. When I am able to move from that which I identify as myself. So therefore, there is a simple definition for Atma. Atma is the immortal, invisible inner essence of all, which is something other than my body and my mind. So we have completed many topics so far in our Tattva Bodha classes. We began by understanding what is the universal human problem or samsara. Then we spoke about various purusharthas or human goals. We had a glimpse into our scriptures and the varna and the ashrama, which is a method of helping us to attain to our goals. Then we studied three important sadhanas, what is Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. And finally, a wonderful synthesis of all the three sadhanas in the form of Bhakti Yoga. In the last class, we looked into what are those qualifications all of us must have, which gives us adhikari, which gives us eligibility to enter into this whole Vedantic program. I'm extremely grateful to Swamiji for having given us these fundamental laws of Vedanta. These fundamental laws are also called the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Perhaps nothing in Vedanta is more important than this fundamental law. And the first fundamental law, which I'm going to insist throughout in this class, is I am other than whatever I experience. I experience my body. I am not my body. I experience my mind, which is trying to explain something. You are also experiencing your mind because you're trying to understand what I'm trying to say. So whatever I experience, I am not. This is the first step, and this is also the most fundamental step. This distinction between Atma and Anatma is also called Drik Drishya Viveka. The second fundamental law I will touch later, not in this class today. So we begin with the alpha. That is the beginning, and this is also the end, the omega. The beginning and the end, and the most fundamental. In the same slide, if you can go back, I have mentioned something like 10 years. Normally, for a very sincere student, a committed student who is into Vedanta day in and day out, it takes about 10 years for this understanding to take place. It may take 10 lives, but one thing is certain. Once you are in the path, you are here to be able to understand these two fundamental laws, because Swamiji insists again and again, these fundamental laws have to be assimilated. If this law is assimilated, Vedanta becomes a walkover. If this is not assimilated, we have to do whatever we can to be able to understand. And the first law is, I am someone other than this body and mind. If I am someone other than this body and mind, then who am I becomes a very relevant inquiry. Now, before we go into this inquiry of who am I, let us understand what is this body, which now we have classified as not me. When you say anatma, which means not me. And according to Vedanta, they say this not me body can be classified as gross body, subtle body, and causal body. When we go to medical school, we study the human body by actually dissecting the human body. And it is very nicely said that when you go to medical school, you study one body, but you get to know every body. In Vedanta, and Vedanta is based on the Vedas, the rishis who compose these Vedas have not actually studied these physical body, but they have intuitively gathered this knowledge. And this knowledge, even in the light of modern medical sciences, cannot be refuted. All those of us who have been into medical science, into neuroscience, and who have studied the Vedanta are more than convinced that there is a certain truth in this classification given to us by the Vedas, as we have not one body, the anatma, not me, my instrument which helps me to communicate, which is called the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body. Now, let us go into details. What is the gross body? Gross body means something that can be perceived by my sense organs. I can see it, others are also can see it. The next question is, how did this gross body form? What is the causation? There are two causes. One is the general cause. The general cause is it is made up of matter, and matter, according to the Vedas, are because of the five elements. And Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, and Prithvi. The five great elements are the cause of the body. Then there is a specific cause. Why are some people healthy? Some people have various diseases. Why some people have got different kinds of bodies? Now, our bodies have all been determined by our past karma or our prarabdha karma. According to Veda, this we will learn in a little more detail in Tattva Bodha itself. What is this karma? And because of this karma, why I have a particular kind of a body, why others have got different. So our bodies are formed by two important causes. One is by the five elements, which is common to everybody. But my body is different from somebody else's body. And this is determined by our past karmas. What is the function, what the Vedas say about this body? They say it is a means for me to communicate with everybody in order to be able to interact with the world, to be able to experience pleasure and pain. So the body is an instrument. Sukha dukkadi bhogayatanam. That is the Sanskrit word. That is the function of the body. Now, what is the nature? By nature means This body is constantly subject to modification. That means there are 6 modifications according to the Vedas. Asti, it has come into being. Jayate, it is born. Vardate, it is grows. Viparinimate, that means it undergoes certain modification. Apakshiyate, it undergoes decay. And finally, vinashyati, it is undergoes destruction or death. So the definition of the gross body in Tattva Bodha goes like this. It is a question answer. So the student asks the teacher, Stula Sharira Kim, what is this gross body? Panchi Krita, that means it has undergone grossification of what? Pancha Mahabhuta, the 5 great elements Kritam. Sat Karma Janyam, because of our good karmas, we have got a human body. Sukha Dukkadi, pleasurable and unpleasant experience. Bhogayatanam Shariram, that is the Vedic definition. So 4 factors about the human body, gross body. Can I quickly summarize once again? It is made up of the 5 elements, different components like head, hands, legs, body. It functions as a temporary residence and it is used to transact within the world. It is subject to change. It has got a limited lifespan. It is visible to me and visible to others also. And this is the nature. Lifespan is limited to about 80 to 100 years. This is the story of the gross body. Then we have the subtle body. For example, my mind, my buddhi, my memory, all that comes under the subtle body. What do you mean by subtle? Subtle means it cannot be perceived by others. For example, what is happening in my mind, I only know. So that also I may partially know and it may not be known to others. So this aspect of all of us is called the subtle body. The subtle body is made up of subtle elements, and just like the gross body, it is matter, but not gross matter. It has not undergone grossification. That is why it's called apanchikrita. And it is also because of our past karmas. So same, sukha dukkadi bhogayatanam. So it is an instrument which helps us to contact with the world around. Now, what is the nature of this body? My mind, just like my body, is always changing. One big difference is at the time of death, what happens is only the gross body dies. The subtle body does not die. To take a modern example, it could be like in the early days, like our SIM that has been detached from an older phone and put into a newer phone. The SIM has all the memories of our past. It has all got our past records. It has got an identification. So all that is carried. And the SIM goes from one body to another, just like one phone to another. And how long does it last? Until cosmic dissolution of pralayam. That means the subtle body, my mind, my buddhi, my ahankara, and my memory goes on for a very long time. So what are the constituents? It has got karmendriya, jnanendriya, panchaprana, manaha, buddhi. So 5 instruments of knowledge, instruments of action, the panchaprana, manas, and buddhi. The 5 forms of energy, what are they? They are called prana, apana. Prana is the respiratory system. Apana can be breathing out or all the excretory system. Vyana is the circulatory system. Samana is the digestive system. Udana is the reversing system, particularly active at the time of death. The subtle body includes the mind, or what is called inner instrument, or the antakarana. It can be subclassified into 4. The mind, which has the doubting or the emotional faculty. In mind, there is also the decisive or the rational faculty, which is called the intellect. In all of us, there is a sense of who I am, this ego that is called ahankara, and all my past memory that is called chitta. These are the 4 aspects of the subtle body. Now, if I have to give a definition according to Tattva Bodha, the student asks, Sukshma Sharira Kim. What is this subtle body? Apanchikrita. The previous was Panchikrita. Here is Apanchikrita. It has not undergone grossification. Just like the gross body, this is also Pancha Mahabhutai Kritam, made up of the 5 elements. Satkarma Janya, because of my past karmas. Same story. Sukha Dukkadi Bhogayatanam Sadhanam Pancha Jnanendriyani. That is my subtle body. Now, in one tabular form, the material for the subtle body is the subtle 5 elements. It has the 5 organs of knowledge, 5 organs of action, the Pancha Prana, Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, and Ahankara, or the Antakarana. It is like the instrument that helps me to interact with the world. Just like the gross body, it is subject to change. It survives the death and continues into multiple lives until there is a cosmic dissolution. And unlike the gross body, which is evident to others also, the subtle body is evident only to oneself. Now we come to the third body, or the causal body. The causal body is the cause of the gross and the subtle body. That is how it has got the name. If the seed for the subtle body and the gross body is the causal body. Now, according to the law of conservation of matter and energy, matter can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can be transformed from one form to another. And therefore, whenever the causal body is when everything comes into an end, it goes into a form of unmanifestation. So that which preserves for the next creation is the causal body. What is its nature? Ajnanam, or total ignorance. There is no subject-object differentiation. For example, in the gross world, I can see myself and I can see all the world around me. This distinction is not there during deep sleep or in the causal body. Now, it is anadi, because it is the cause of everything, and the cause cannot have a cause, so it has to be there from the very beginning. And being the cause of everything, it cannot be the effect. So it is anadi. And being anatma, it is mithya. Now, the gross body dies at the time of death. The subtle body dissolves at the time of dissolution of pralayam. The causal body does not die at all. It is there. It disintegrates only at the time of jnanam for a person who attains to enlightenment. Now, in Tattva Bodha, how is the causal body defined? It is defined like this. The student comes and asks the teacher, Karana Sharira Kim? Anarvachaniya Anadi Avidya Rupam. All are very technical terms. Maybe in another class I will explain all these. Sharira Dvayasya Karana Matram Satvaswarupam Ajnanam Nirvikalpam Arupam Yadasti Tad Karanam Sharira. That is the definition of the causal body. Now, in a tabular form, let us see what this causal body. Now, causal body is also made out of causal matter. We had gross matter, subtle matter, and the causal matter. The technical term for that is called avidya. So it is the seed form for the gross body and the subtle body, and it is there from beginningless time. It will continue to be there until dissolution happens at the time of spiritual awakening, when all the karmas get lost. We go to the next topic of what is this Avastatraya. Avastatraya is something important to remember for all students of Vedanta, because all the Upanishads, every Upanishad talks about these 3 states: the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. the Jagrat Avastha or the waking phase, the Swapna or the dream, or the deep sleep, which is also called Sushupti. Now, we have to know three things. What is the condition of the mind? Like, for instance, in Jagrat, the mind is fully awake. In Swapna, it is partially awake. In deep sleep, it is almost non-functional. What is the nature of the experience and what is the dominant medium? For example, during waking state, it is the gross body. During dream state, it is the subtle body. And in deep sleep, it is the causal body. So that is how we have the three avasthas. In Jagrat Avastha, which is also called Purna Vikasa, the inner organ, the mind and its thinking faculty, the ego and memory, everything is functional and the person identifies with the gross body. So in tabular form, in tabular, the condition of the mind is it is fully operational. The person is able to interact with the tangible world and there is an objective sensory experience and there is a two-way experience. And the interaction or the medium is the gross body as well as the subtle body. Now we come to uh, the second state or the swapna avastha or the dream state. In the dream state, as I already told you, it is ardha vikasa. Only whatever is recorded during the waking phase, and that too the deep impressions, these are called the vasanas, become awake during the dream state. It is an internal world and predominantly only the sukshma sharira is involved. In tabular form, you have that the condition of the mind is ardha vikasa, only partially functioning. It is an inner abstract world based on our memory and vasanas, and the medium of experience is the subtle world. Now we come to the third or Shushupti or the deep sleep experience. At this time, the mind is almost non-functional. There is no external world, there is no internal world. A person is both blissful as well as ignorant. This is the state of deep sleep. And in deep sleep, this is the condition of the mind, completely dormant mind, a state of both bliss and ignorance, and the medium of experience is the causal body. So, three terms to be remembered. In the waking phase, the experiencer is called Vishwa, the experienced universe is called Virat. In deep sleep, we studied this in the Mandukya. Taijasa is the experiencer, Hiranya Garbha is the world of the dream world, Prajna and or Antaryami or Ishvara. Last topic is about Panchakosha. Panchakosha is the same as the three bodies, but the three bodies which help us to or which cover the Atma. Atma being the immortal, inner, invisible essence is all pervading. But for diagrammatic purposes, it is shown as Atma is within. Atma is both within and without. Now, how does this classification differ from the three body? The gross body is the same as Annamaya Kosha, and the causal body is the same as Anandamaya Kosha. The subtle body is divided into three. Pranamaya Kosha, the energy field, Manomaya Kosha, the mental field, and Vijnanamaya Kosha, the intellectual field. And that is how the five koshas are divided. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. We begin with Atma Bodha, verse 42, which will be presented to us by Ullas. Ullas, please.
Thank you, sir. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. आत्मा तु सततं प्राप्तः अप्यप्राप्तवदविद्यया तन्नाशे प्राप्तवद्भाति स्वकण्ठाभरणं यथा. In the last verse, we saw that Atma is like after the destruction of tamas as if the sunlight comes out. That is the problem with all the examples, that every example has a limitation. From that example, it appears as if there was a time when Atma was not there. Because we all know that there was a time when there was darkness, sun comes, there is an event that sun comes, and then with its light, that darkness goes away. So one might think that, okay, there was a time when Atma was not there, it was aprapta. And then after doing something, after some action or some event, we did something and then it became prapta, we attained it. And just now, sir also shared that there is panchakoshas, and that diagram also has its limitation, that we feel that, okay, Atma is hidden by those panchakoshas. So we have to remove each kosha one by one, and then we will get to Atma. But here what it is said is that Atma to satatam praptah. Atma is always prapt, it's always there. Api apraptavad avidyaya, but it still appears to be aprapta. Like it appears that it was that in the past it was aprapta, but in later time it will become prapta. So that confusion arises. One is because of the limitation of the example, but generally what we have seen is that all the sadhana, etc., we do to make a prapta thing as prapta. But here it is clearly told that Atma is always prapta. Atma is a satatam siddha vastu. It's already there. We already have it. It is not to be, it is not a sadhya vastu that we have to achieve it. We don't have to attain it in some other time, some other place. So in the next slide, we see that there is nothing like it is to be attained. Why it feels like that? Only because of avidya. It says api apraptavat avidyaya. It appears to be not there. I don't have it. I have to achieve that moksha, or I have to get the sakshatkar of Paramatma, and all those things are only because of the ignorance that we are already that. And so then what is the remedy? Remedy is tannashe, praptavad bhati. Then it will appear as if it is praptavad only after the nasha, or only after the destruction of this ignorance. So tannashe praptavad bhati. After we destroy this ignorance, it will appear as if we have prapt it, as if we have attained it. So now this whole prapti business in itself, Shankaracharya says, is kind of a foolish person's game. Like, we are sincere students, so we know that this whole prapti thing is, again, it's a limitation of the words also, for that matter. We have to say that because right now we don't have the experience that we are the Atma. So that's why we feel like there is a prapta thing is there, and then prapt will happen. But there is nothing like that. Only that destruction of that ignorance needs to happen. In the next slide, we will see that they are explained it with an example also. We many times feel like, when will the moksha we will get, where we will get, is it after 25 lifetimes, is it we will get it in the Swargalok or Vaikuntha Lok and all that. But all those things are to achieve something which is not already with me. If I am already something, then there is no, then it is already now and here. There is nothing like what to, when to, or where to. So for the example given is that Swakantha Bharanam Yatha. How it is, I have a necklace on my neck and I'm not aware of that. And I'm searching for it all over the place. And then after search, let's say I come across a mirror and then I find it. And then, so have I really found something? Have I really attained something? It was already always there. So it is just like that. So Atma was already always there. But all that we do by that is we don't attain something. We just drop the sense of loss. I was thinking, oh, my necklace, it was lost somewhere. I have misplaced it. It is nowhere gone. That sense of loss has been dropped. That's it. And nothing else has been gained. Then the question arises, and why all these classes are we doing? Why all this sadhana? Why all these Swamijis are, shouting from the rooftops, ki drop this ignorance? It's already, we already are there. Then what's the problem? The thing is, only if we search for that necklace, we will come across sometime that mirror. This is my addition, that this mirror is our shastras, which give us that reflection, that who we really are. So once that search happens, then we realize it's already there, and then we realize, yeah, the search was unnecessary. So yes, the search is actually unnecessary. The sadhana, once we have realize that we are the only one, then it becomes unnecessary only. But to gain to that stage of our understanding, the sadhana is necessary. So ultimately, the action here is that we need to drop the ignorance. That is the only way. And for that, we need to continue our Shravanam, Mananam, Nidhyasanam, Sadhana. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Ullas, for a very nice explanation of a very important Veda or Vedantic concept. There are two kinds of accomplishments. One is called apraptasya praptihi. I don't have riches. I don't have name fame. I struggle and one day get what I do not have. That is called apraptasya prapti. However, the Vedas say the greatest accomplishment in the world is praptasya prapti. It is the accomplishment of the accomplished. What do you mean by accomplishment of the accomplished? We are already that. Moksha is not a sadhyam. It's a siddha vastu. It is already that. To have something and not to know that you have it is as good as we do not have it. All of us are already that. However, the great effort by all our teachers is to help us to open that divya chakshu and help us to realize I am already that. That is what this verse is saying, nicely explained by Ullas. And this accomplishment is called praptasya prapti. The next verse, 45, will be explained by Dr. Sheila. Dr. Sheila, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The 45th verse of Atma Bodha is Sthano Purushavat Brantya Krita Brahmani Jivata Jivasya Tatvike Rupe Tasmin Drishte Nivartate. In continuation with the previous verse, this verse also talks about Brahma Praptihi, that is, attaining Brahman. As we talk now, anything attained will be lost. So, what does it mean by Brahma Praptihi? When we say Aham Manushya, I am Sheila, I am lady, I am big, I am fat, these are all Jivatva Buddhihi. So, Brahmani Jivata Brantya Krita. The next slide, sir. Even though I am all the time Brahman, I have superimposed Jivatva Buddhi. Krita is, which means Adhyasaha or Kalpitaha, Adhyaropaha. Tatvike tasmin rupe drishte sati. Tatvikam rupam is Brahma Swarupam eva. Tasmin rupe drishte sati. When the original nature of Jiva is recognized and owned up, what happens? That is nivartate. Jivatva buddhi goes away, and this is called Brahma Praptihi. In the next slide, in this verse, an example is given. Sthanau Purushavad. Here, Purusha is taken as thief or a ghost. Sthenu, it is a trunk of a tree which has been cut off and has only two branches left. This resembles like a man standing with the two hands in semi-darkness. And when the person goes and the person is terrified by this, thinking that it is a thief or a ghost. So when the person goes near this sthanu purusha buddhi nivartate. He realizes it is tree, not the thief or the ghost, and also his fear goes away. In this verse, the word Brahmani is I am Brahman and I have got Jivatva Buddhi. And once Brahman is known, the Jivatva Buddhi goes away and also the Bhayam. In the next slide, Swamiji gives a reference of a verse from 7th Anuvaka of Brahmananda Valli of Taittiriya Upanishad for this verse. Brahman asti bhaya abhaya karanatvat. Brahman is the source of fear and fearlessness for an ignorant and wise person, respectively. Bhayam represents samsara. In the next slide, insecurity can never go away because everything in the creation is finite and is subject to loss and separation. The only thing that cannot be lost is the infinite Brahman. So, Brahman Jnanam alone removes insecurity. So, what type of Brahman? It is explained in this verse as Adrishye, which is invisible, Anatmaye, it is formless, Anikrute, that is undescribable, that is attributeless, Ani Lane, that is it does not have any support of anything, there is no duality. So yadai eva esha yasmin udaram antaram krute. I am an ignorant person. If I see a slightest difference between myself and Brahman, that is, then atatasya bhayam bhavati. There will be fear for that ignorant person. A standard example given here is when I claim I am a wave, my security depends upon the ocean. When I claim I am water, the ocean security depends upon me, that is the water. As both, that is, ocean also cannot exist without the support of water. Swamiji says, meditate upon this. Another Bhagwan will be the source of fearlessness only when he is non-different from me. To put differently, one that is when known Brahman is a source of fearlessness and unknown Brahman is a source of fear. Again, the standard example on rope and snake is the rope that is clearly visible is never the cause of fear. When the very same rope is unknown, it is mistaken for a snake and becomes a source of fear. So ignorance leads to mistake. Similarly, unknown Brahman is mistaken Brahman, which is called Jiva Jagat Ishvara or the so-called Brahman, which causes bhayam. Next, to conclude in the next slide. So Brahma Jnanam alone removes insecurity. So we have to move from world dependence, which is perishable, to God dependence and to self-dependence, that is, discover God in your own heart. Then the Jnanam, that is Brahma Jnanam, the Jnanam that there is Brahman is of no use. It should be that I am ever the secure Brahman, that is Aham Brahmasmi. Without this Advaita Jnanam, insecurity will never go away. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sheila, for giving us a nice explanation of this verse. The next verse, 46, will be explained by Dr. Asha Naik. Dr. Asha Naik, please.
Om Gurubhyo Nama. Jai Gurudev. Now, we are essentially at the conscious, blissful existence. That is the absolute reality. We are mistaking ourselves to a body, a prana, living under the influence of these limitations, and because unless we recognize this divine reality, we will always be suffering. If we cannot learn from our own experience, then who can teach us? Jiva can never be happy because it is expressions of this infinite through the limitation of finite. Next. Tat Swarupa Anubhavat Jnana Utpanna Jnana Anjasa Aham Mamiti Cha Ajnanam Badate Dig Brahma Divar. So, Tat Swarupa Anubhavat is the result of the experience of the truth. Anubhavat is an experience. Utpanna is to be born. Anjasa is instantaneously, immediately. Aham mama, that is I and mine. Iti cha ajnanam, that is ignorant notion. Then the last is badhate. Badhate is destroyed. Dig is disha, that is direction. And Brahma is confusion. Next. So we already have the meaning. Next slide, sir. Tat Swarupa Anubhavat Utpanna Jnanam Anjasa. The knowledge that is born instantaneously, that is Anjasa, immediately, Shigram, without any gap. This is like compare eating food, hunger vanishes. Next slide, sir. But in case of sowing seed, it takes gap is more and sowing seed. This Shankaracharya explained in Bhashyam very detailed, but I am not going through it. Next slide. Shankaracharya explains now aham and mamam. Both of these two illusions need to be destroyed. Therefore, unless you weaken, rather destroy, badate, this our attachment mamata, our involvement in the world will not go beyond aham, I-ness associated with our body. Mamata, attachment, plays havoc in our life with a load of past experience, that is anubhavat, and this load of past experience need to be given up. Then only we will go out of I-ness. Next slide. Ajnanam. I and mine is ignorance. Aham mamati cha ajnanam. So wherever you have possessions, you suffer. When you belong, you celebrate. So how long that we are going to deceive ourselves like this? The aham, mama, I, mine must be erased from our system. Next slide. So this ignorance, incomplete knowledge, if destroyed, byproduct of it is other errors also will go away. Next slide. Dig Brahmadiva. Example here given is if person does not know which is the east, as it is a very cloudy day, so he cannot spot the sun, but wants to know where is the east for some purpose. So here he has got a east ajnanam. So she asks someone the direction, the person points out the direction of east. At that very moment, the statement is given, the ignorance of seeking direction is gone. This is the direct immediate result. But the indirect result is once he has removed the ignorance of east, the ignorance of west also is gone. Next slide. Therefore, aham mameti cha ajnanam badate. The wrong notion is negated completely like Dig Brahmadivat. Many times we lose sense of direction. So we have confusion in direction. So when we know the east, Surya, west will be immediately established. Thus, once you have discovered your essential nature, all the relevant problems are fixed. Like a carpet of moha, maya, krodha, kama, sukha, dukkha, samsara will be removed at once like hunger. Like example, the moment we are able to locate sun, that is our absolute self, then all the direction and relative experiences, anubhavat, will be destroyed. There is no ambiguity in our experience knowledge, and that is utpannam from jnanam, from experience. This is the tat swarupam utpannam jnanam anjasa aham mameti cha jnanam badate digbram. Tatparya, next slide. Thus, possessiveness, minus, load of two things put together is ignorance, incomplete knowledge. This incomplete knowledge negated by new knowledge born, that is anubhavat, with correct understanding, inquiring of our essential nature, saying, who am I? Negates the small little I and terrible load of mine. When me, I, my negated, what remains is absolute reality. And absolute reality, there is no I or my. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, madam, for giving us a nice explanation of this verse, which is the importance of Atma, Anatma, Viveka. When I do not know the truth, I tend to identify with the Anatma, which is my body-mind complex. And as my body-mind complex identification, there is a sense of me, not me, ahankara and mamakara, which is the cause of all suffering. The moment I recognize my true nature, suffering disappears at once. The last slide for the last verse for today, verse 47, will be explained by Ullas once again. Ullas, please.
Thank you, sir. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So we have seen all this knowledge that I am Atma, all these things. It's kind of, we sometimes don't we feel that we already know that, at least at some level. Swamiji's also know that Aham Brahmasmi. I also know Aham Brahmasmi. But I am not living the free life as they are living. I still have all the problems that I have. So then where is that gap? The gap is that the knowledge is there, but our knowledge is a little doubtful knowledge. And the problem with the doubtful knowledge is that what doubt means is nothing, something which we don't have full confidence on. For example, generally this example is quoted that if two glasses of water are there and you are told that one of them has poison in it, so the other one is fine. So now can you drink one of them? No, right? So both the glasses become useless. So that knowledge is kind of not of much use for us if it is a doubtful knowledge. So if there is a samshaya, then it is an obstacle. So that is point number one. Then the next slide we see another point is that we have knowledge. The thing is, in the big room of our mind, that knowledge only occupies a small corner. And all our viparita bhavanas, all our other habits of having desires, anger, greed, depression, irritation, all those things are also there, very much there. So poor knowledge is just sitting somewhere in the corner. It is there. But these things are the ones which are dominating our intellect. So at the time of, at the time of when it's a crucial time, then which dominates our decision making is the whole thing. So that viparya is also there. So that is another obstacle. So we see that our goal is there, but there are two obstacles. One is doubt, one is viparya. So then in the next slide, how will we get the phala of this jnana? Jnana is there, but the phalam will only happen if we have this knowledge without the obstacles. And how these obstacles can be gotten rid of is doubt can be only go away with mananam. We keep on doing our shravanam, and then we have to keep contemplating on that, contemplating on that. So my own coin of the word is like, instead of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, we have to do punarapi mananam, punarapi nididhyasanam. So that doubt will go away from mananam. And this viparita bhavana will only go away from nididhyasanam, sword. So we have to just cut these two obstacles with these two swords. Once we do that, then we will get that advaita drishti, that everything is in me, that jagat mithya feeling will come. Now let's come to the verse proper in the next slide. So the actual verse says, Samyak Vijnanavan Yogi Swatmanyeva Khilam Sthitam Ekam Cha Sarvatmanam Ikshate Jnana Chakshusha. The qualifications or the attributes of this person is being told is that he's Samyak Vijnanavan Yogi. They're not saying Jnanavan Yogi. Jnanavan Yogi is the one who has Jnanam. We all have Jnanam, like we all know Aham Brahmasmi, but this person is Vijnanavan Yogi. He has that Jnan with Bhed Rahita. He does not differentiate between you and I and this person, that person, and other things. So he's the Vijnanavan. And then Samyak means what type of Jnana is there? This is a Samyak Jnana, that which is without obstacles, without of this Viparita Bhavana, and without the doubt, sorry. He does not have the doubts in that knowledge. That is Samyak Vijnana. And without that Viparita Bhavana is someone who is a yogi, who has taken care of that with Dinidhyasanam. So how does this person sees the world? He sees Swatmanyeva Akhilam Sthitam. He sees that this entire world is resting in me, myself, in himself. He sees the world as mithya and myself as real. I am the real. This world is unreal. So that is but when you say like everything I see in myself, does it mean like everything is in my mind only? This is like a change of vision. So for example, there is a wave. and then there is an ocean. Now, what do I consider myself as? In the next slide, we'll see that what is my vision. Am I a wave or am I an ocean? If I say wave, then I have a limited vision. If I am a Jivatma, I have a limited vision. If I say I'm an ocean, then I'm a Paramatma, then I'm like everything in me. But if my vision changes to that I'm water, then both wave and ocean, they lose relevance. Then I am water, then that becomes important. So that change in the vision is needed. Then wave and ocean becomes the same, anatma atma becomes the same, sharir or shariri becomes, because we are focusing on the underlying aspect of that. And that underlying aspect, it would say that swatmaneva akhilam sthitam, everything is resting in me, because there is no real difference. The difference is only at the nama rupa level, but actually they both are same. And many times we have seen that with all this jnanam, this vijatiya bhed is kind of easy to resolve, that I am Atma and Paramatma and we both are same. So that kind of we can imagine, understand. But my Atma and that person's Atma and that person's Atma, we are all different or same. That sajatiya bhed is a little difficult. But for that, teacher says that, because we have that strong association with this body, that's why this happens. Otherwise, in the 13th or 14th chapter, we have seen that this entire thing is a kshetram. And so once that body identification draws, then everything is the same only. So in that, everything is else is everything is resting. So that change in vision has to go from that kshetram is the entire thing, and that kshetrajnayam. Then so samyak vijnanavan yogi would feel that everything is resting in me. And then the next slide we see ekam cha sarvatmanam ikshate. This oneness is going to be seen. Ikshate means seen. But seen, it doesn't mean that I'm going to start seeing this bed and this chair and this table as the same thing. Like their nama rupa differences will still be there. So the necklace and the bangle are still going to be appearing different to me. But in the eyes of my wisdom, in the gross eye, I would see the difference. But in the eyes of my wisdom, the wisdom eye, I would see that they are both made of gold. So they are same only. So even though that apparent plurality is there, but my wisdom, I would still tell me that there is a singularity only. And this will happen only for that Samyak Vijnanavana Yogi. So in the next slide, the action for us is that whatever jnanam we have, whatever knowledge we have to make sure that it is without the doubt. If we have doubts, then we have to continue our sadhana to remove those mananam and all, to remove those doubts. We have to have that complete nishtha in that. Then only this knowledge is going to really give us jnana phalam. And then we have to drop our those viparita bhavanas of desire, greed, etc., etc., so that knowledge occupies a bigger and the only space in our mind, and then we will get that Advaita Drishti in the real sense. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Ullas, for a very clear explanation of another important verse. This important verse is relevant to all of us. In what way? All of us who have been into Vedanta for some time know the truth, Aham Brahmasmi. We also know that this world is not so real. Is there a doubt? Now, Ullas gave the nice example of two glasses, one of them which may contain a contaminant, and therefore, if there is any doubt, we are not going to consume. For many of us, that is also not a problem. Knowledge about Aham Brahmasmi is doubt-free. But the biggest problem is called Vipariya Bhavana. That means for so long I have lived a limited life. That means the identification with my body is still very strong. And therefore, it takes time. And is there one way to overcome? Certainly, be in the study group. That is why Adi Shankara, who is the composer of Atma Bodha as well as Bhaja Govindam, says, Satsangatve Nisangatvam, Nisangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nischala Tattve Jivan Muktihi. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Our pranams to all our gurus and the Guru Parampara. We are truly blessed to have such a profound teaching given to us on a platter. Grateful to our teacher, our guide, Dr. Hegde, and to all the speakers of the day. Param Vedanta appreciates its listeners also. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for clarity on the three bodies and the three states and the Panchakosha. We see your compassion for us through this revision. You said, I am other than whatever I am experience. We must continue reinforcing that there is no jiva. Experienceability, transactability, utility of the body does not prove its reality. Its orderliness does not prove its reality. And because we have accepted the body as the truth for such a long time, does not make it real. We must remove our doubts, our old habits, and abide in that one non-dual, ever-present, Satatam Prapt, reality, our true nature, Atma Bodha. The next session of Atma Bodha is on next Friday, 28th of February. But before that, we bring you Param Vedanta brings you a gift session, Gita for Inner Freedom and Transformation, session number 67 on Monday, 24th February. Let us conclude. Please chant along. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.